This mutation is called Dance Dance Evolution, and it is being played on missed opportunities. We have 3 mutators active. We have Moment of Silence, we have Transmutation, and we have Speed Freaks. Let's have a look at the player masteries before I go over and talk about the mutator interactions here. We have New Metal and Punisher that will be doing this. Punisher does have a YouTube channel, go check them out. I believe all their casts are in German, so if you are a German-speaking person, go ahead and check out their channel. But we have Energy Regen and Attack Damage, 22-8 split for Kerrigan. We have the Vespene Cost Mastery selected here, and we have the Fast Evolution Mastery, so we're expecting a unit-centric build for Kerrigan. For Tychus, we do have 30 points into the Tychus attack speed, we have 30 points into the Tri-Outlaw, and 30 points into the Medevac cooldown, so these things are pretty much the optimal selections here, and the Tychus attack speed is a preference. Now I want to talk about the Transmutation Mutator first. Enemy units will transmutate under 2 conditions. One is if they kill one of your units, but they will also transmutate up if they start dealing damage. There is a chance that they will transmutate up depending on the amount of damage they deal. So this is something to keep in mind when you are playing up against Transmutation, but the thing that makes Transmutation so deadly on this mission is this other mutator, Speed Freaks. So what happens is that enemy units will end up being able to reach and deal damage to your army a lot quicker than they would normally do without the Speed Freaks mutator. Now, usually when you're dealing with Transmutation, you would try and attack from range and prevent Amon's army from dealing any damage to your army, and that kind of nullifies Transmutation. But because of Speed Freaks, it's pretty much impossible to try and avoid this kind of damage, because Speed Freaks just makes the enemy attack waves move so fast, as you can see over here. Now Tychus is in position with Rattlesnake behind him, and he's going to get ready to deal with this first one. A very nice Stray Grenade over there, ends up pretty much one-shotting this entire attack wave. So with the Speed Freaks Mutator, you have these enemy units that end up all the way in your face, and they're dealing damage to you, and they are transmutating up. Now add into that you have Moment of Silence, which means the hybrids are also in your face, and when you kill them off, they are in your face and therefore will end up completely disabling your army. And that is what makes this mutation so dangerous, because the synergies between these mutators is unexpected by a lot of players that are a little bit inexperienced with weekly mutations. They'll find that their army ends up completely disabled, and then eventually their army will end up either getting killed off or more damage being dealt to their army, and that is what causes Transmutation to spiral out of control. You can see over here, I'm going to try and show you one more thing that happens with Speed Freaks. You can see these units now are transmutating up with Kerrigan, that's normal, but see how this Infestor is spazzing out. It's just moving back and forth, and it's just being completely really annoying, and that is one of the effects of Speed Freaks as well. It's because the Infestor is able to move really quickly, it can get off a lot more spell damage than it would normally be able to do if it was a regular non-mutation game. So you have to be a little bit careful when you're dealing with Transmutation, especially in this weekly mutation. That Speed Freaks is a very innocent looking mutator. A lot of players will think, oh no, you know what, it just makes the enemy's units move a little bit faster. But that faster movement speed means the hybrids end up triggering Moment of Silence on your army, and it means enemy units will end up casting or being able to trigger their Transmutation a lot more than they would normally do during a regular mission. Now, we can see that Kerrigan and Tychus and Co are they've defended this first harvesting bot, and Kerrigan now is pushing into this space to try and deal a little bit more damage and try and just push up ahead. Again, she wants to make sure she does not end up getting picked off by the enemy units. Now, the one thing about Transmutation is, if a hero unit, a heroic unit dies to an Amon unit, that Amon unit will instantly transmutate up all the way up the ranks, and it'll either become a hybrid Dominator or a hybrid Behemoth. And that obviously is very bad. So Tychus and Rattlesnake obviously are heroic units, Kerrigan is a heroic unit as well, but eventually throughout the course of the mission, she will be relying on a bunch of other units. Over here we have a bunch of Zerglings that are randomly killing each other off at the moment, I think, or they're killing off some larvae? I'm not really sure what they were doing over there, but we have a bunch of drones now that are coming up, and I think as far as saturation goes, both these commanders have ideally completely saturated their base. And you can see there's a little bit of chip damage over there, because Transmutation also causes enemy units to be given an attack command towards the nearest player base if they have nothing within range. Now again, as usual, this doesn't really happen when you do not have Speed Freaks active. but because these units tend to spaz out and they move back and they try and kite you, like think back to that infestor that I just showed you earlier, it's because of that kind of motion where it can actually move back and ends up transmutating, and then it'll end up attacking your base. So this is also one other thing that you have to take note of when you are dealing with this kind of mutator. And swarm hosts, really deadly units over there because it basically gives you free transmutation units for Amon. So the locust that the swarm host can provide and they spawn, those things can each individually transmutate up all the way through. So you have to be careful when you are dealing with swarm hosts. Kerrigan already in position, and now there are a large number of banelings that start dealing a lot of damage to Kerrigan, but there is a Shredder Grenade as well from Tychus, and he ends up clearing out that next harass wave. There will be another harass wave, and there will be another one after that as well to try and take out these harvesting bots. But both these players do seem to be already in position, and now there is a nice worm that's getting attacked and harassed by the next harass wave on this side, and that nice worm ends up going down, but now Tychus is already in position, and again a very nice Shredder Grenade. Tychus uses a medevac airlift to try and heal some of the damage that is being dealt from the attack wave. He does not want to end up losing his Tychus because that could be absolutely devastating. Getting a hybrid dominator right now would be really bad. Tychus getting again dangerously low, and he ends up using a medevac again right into the middle. Unfortunately, the medevac has been nerfed, which means that the pickup and drop off ability that he was using is not as effective. Nowadays what you have to do is you have to try and move Tychus back a little bit further so you can heal up and get the benefit of that medevac cooldown. And we now have Kerrigan as well with Nox. They end up clearing out this next harass wave. Harvesting bot is a little bit banged up, but that is okay. And now the next... Oh, actually that was a remnant of the other previous attack wave. There is another swarm host that was there and then ended up getting picked off, and now Kerrigan is already in position, and she uses an immobilization whip to pretty much one-shot all the Baneling and the Scourge. So now there's only a Viper, and that is pretty much the rest of the attack wave cleared out. Tychus is going and trying to push into here, and you can see now that is a hybrid dominator, and that is not good news for Tychus. Tychus now does move back a little bit and ends up picking off that hybrid dominator, but now that hybrid destroyer is also there. Unfortunately, Kerrigan tried to pick it off, but that hybrid destroyer does end up converting into a hybrid behemoth. You can see now these swarm hosts are getting a lot more value by creating these Hellions. This hybrid behemoth is a top tier unit, so it will not be converted into anything else, so Kerrigan will be able to pick that off, and now she has to go and pick off the rest of the swarm host that is causing a few problems for her. But notice how she's using the Omega Worm to dodge the moment of silence. Unfortunately, she did end up whiffing on that last one. But what she's doing is when she kills off the hybrid, she jumps into the Omega Worm to get away from this debuff. So you can see here, she just wants to poke away at this hybrid and just draw it away. Does end up casting its ability here. There's another Swarm Hose that ends up getting picked off, and a Widow Mine as well. But yeah, her goal is basically draw aggro of this hybrid. Widow Mine trying to spaz out on this nice worm. Unfortunately, it cannot take a target, these units here, so it's just being a little bit annoying. But see how Kerrigan is just dealing with this hybrid behemoth. And as soon as that happens, as soon as the hybrid dies, she jumps into the nice worm and ends up dodging that moment of silence debuff. Tychus and Co are already here, and they are ready to defend this next wave of harvesting bots will be launching very, very soon. Kerrigan now just slowly starting to push through, and there's a random set of Protoss units over here. There is also a Warhound, and now the Broodlord. Again, same idea with the Broodlord. It can end up creating some Broodlings, and those Broodlings can get a lot of value as well, and they can end up transmutating up. So she has to be a little bit careful. Tychus already in position, uses a very nice Knock Storm here to end up wiping out that harass wave, but that is only the first harass wave of a large number of harass waves on the way. Kerrigan has gone for a bunch of Mutalisks, which might not be a really good idea because they are dealing with a Swarmy Zerg composition, and you can see lots of Vipers that just want to just cast that ability onto these Mutalisks. You can see there's another drop attack that is coming up as well, and it will be attacking very, very soon. And Kerrigan will have to pay attention to her Mutalisks. She does not want to end up losing those Mutalisks to a bunch of Vipers, and the Vipers will be more than happy to cast their fungal growths and their storms. Few of these Mutalisks over here, and I think there's one parasitic bomb that ends up going down on these Mutalisks. There's no split, unfortunately. These Mutalisks should be able to survive if they end up... Yeah, so they end up surviving with about 50% HP. Kerrigan now is moving her Mutalisk back. She does not want to end up losing any of these Mutalisks and give Amon free value with Transmutation. And now that is that harass wave also cleared up. So these mules are now going to end up regenerating. Kerrigan has pretty much all the upgrades that she needs. She's missing the level 3 attack upgrades, but she's getting those as well. Another 16 Mutalisks on the way. Tychus just slowly ticking up as well, just slowly getting those upgrades and climbing up that tech tree. And as he gets stronger as well, he's going to get a little bit more value. Another parasitic bomb with these Mutalisks, but this time there is a split, so that is okay. I think those Mutalisks did end up clumping up towards the end, but that is fine. And now we have the final harass wave that has spawned, and there is a hybrid here that needs to be addressed here. And Kerrigan as well is jumping into the fray, but unfortunately there is a hybrid behemoth now that has been spawned, and that tuna fish hybrid might also end up converting up into either a hybrid dominator, okay, or a hybrid dominator like that. And now Kerrigan has to be a little bit careful. Kerrigan does end up jumping into the nice worm, and Tychus as well uses the medevac airlift to dodge the moment of silence debuff, which is a very, very nice strategy as well. The Mutalisks do end up getting caught by that moment of silence, but it is a while before the next attack wave will spawn. It's an actual attack wave. Tychus uses the Odin, drops down to the bonus objective, pretty much one-shots everything over here, and now there is nothing left to defend this bonus objective, and it will be cleaned up by the allied commanders just in time because the enemy is coming for us. Hope you're ready for this. And the commanders are slightly out of position. Tychus is sending Nux and Rattlesnake along the way. And now you can see this is why this attack wave is so scary. There are a lot of hybrids here, and there are a lot of units that are dealing a lot of damage to these allied commanders. Now you can see there's a triple revitalizer. Unfortunately, triple revitalizers do not stack. They do not stack the healing buff. So that is going to be a little bit inefficient from Tychus. But overall, he's using his medevac airlift really nicely. Unfortunately, he does end up getting caught by that moment of silence. And you can see here, he can't really do anything until that debuff runs out. There's one last hybrid, and that hybrid will end up getting picked off. Again, very nice pickup from the medevac, and this time he gets a lot of value, keeping his units alive. And now there is a bunch of hybrids on this side. Unfortunately, lots of Widow Mines here, and these Widow Mines are going to proc on those SCVs, and those SCVs are not long for this world. And now there is a bunch of siege tanks here. So that is Tychus's mineral line completely wiped out, and Kerrigan has to go and clear these units out because the swarm host is going to cause a lot of problems. It's just giving a lot of free units. Tychus over here ends up clearing out the last hybrid, and now there is a bunch of Widow Mines that are just spazzing out and doing a ring around the rosy around this refinery. And this is one of the weird things that happens when you do have speed freaks. It's just the enemy units move so fast, and their attack commands are given directly towards structures. You can put stuff like Widow Mines running around refineries, and there's another Widow Mine that is also borrowed. And now there's an SCV here, which might be a bit of a problem because that SCV might be aggroing Widow Mine as soon as one comes out. Yep, there we go. And Widow Mine does end up getting a little bit more value. So far, all that has been lost for Tychus, 23 SCVs and 1 Mutalisk for Kerrigan. So Tychus is getting a little bit hammered on this mutation, but it's not too bad. He is in a position now, and he has all his important outlaws. He doesn't really, like, even if he has lost this, it's just going to push him back a little bit. It is not a game-losing situation. He has now added Crooked Sam as well to the mix, which is a very nice addition here. And this Crooked Sam is very useful for dealing with Transmutation. If he has the, what's it called? Is it called the Mobius Restraint upgrade? The Mobius Restraint Matrix, which is the stun upgrade for Crooked Sam. He can end up stunning these hybrid dominators, preventing them from casting their skills, which is very, very useful, especially when you're dealing with Transmutation. Remember that the hybrid dominators are one of the 2 top-tier units that is at the end of the Transmutation 3, and you can see very nice Nux Storm here ends up pretty much one-shotting that harass wave. And for the most part, these commanders are completely in control of this mission. We have a total of 75 Mutalisks for Kerrigan, so that is more than enough. And so far, only 1 Mutalisk has been killed off throughout this course of the mission. Now we have Tychus and Rattlesnake, a little bit confused as to where to go. Kerrigan is being a little bit distracted by some of these swarm hosts. Tychus moves over here to clear out the rest of these units. And I think that is pretty much all the units have been cleared up. But now there is another harass wave here, and now there is another assimilation aura. Kerrigan just trying to get as much value as she can from these units. She wants to be able to max out her Mutalisk count, and she wants to build up enough resources such that if she does end up losing the Mutalisk but for any reason, she'll be able to remax almost instantly. And she has a full 100. Oh, she has a full Mutaflock right now. A total of 5 Mutalisks have been cleared off. I think some of the Scourge did end up picking off those Mutalisks. Kerrigan is one-shotting these swarm hosts here with their locusts. A little bit annoying, but that is okay. Now there's another harass wave that is coming up here, and Tychus should be in position. Yeah, so he's using the Omega Worms now, and he's added Crooked Sam into the mix here. And there's another immobilization wave that ends up coming down for Kerrigan, pretty much clears out the rest of the Scourge and the Banelings, and Tychus cleans up whatever's left of the aberrations. There's another Swarm host over here, the Stalker being a little bit annoying. Another attack, another harass wave ends up dropping on top of Kerrigan. Now you can see the amount of damage output from these Mulisks. These Mulisks are fully upgraded, and they pretty much have everything they need to be able to completely destroy these attack waves. You can see one Mulist gets cleared out, and that is not a problem for Kerrigan. Now this attack wave has spawned, and Tychus uses an airlift to get into position and drops a storm onto this attack wave, pretty much clearing out everything that is here. And I think good enough for them is that there is no hybrid that spawns with this wave. The only hybrid that will end up spawning is on the next attack wave, which will be after the last wave of harvesting bots. There is a ping now from Kerrigan. Kerrigan wants to go and do the bonus objective, and Tychus agrees, and they will be moving into position. There's another Omega Worm here, and Kerrigan will have to take this engage very carefully. She does not have her immobilization wave, and she does not have her assimilation aura, and she has to be very careful as they start pushing in, because you can see Tychus getting corrupted and dealing a lot of damage. But you can see the amount of value that Crooked Sam is providing just by being able to stun these units. And now the Mulisks are in. Unfortunately, they do end up getting hit by the moment of silence debuff, but at this point it's more than enough. And now Tychus ends up dropping a demolition charge onto this hybrid dominator, and this hybrid dominator unfortunately did not end up getting picked off. Like, Mulisks coming to clean up the hybrid dominator, but unfortunately the medevac airlift ends up timing out and dropping Tychus onto this moment of silence debuff, but that is okay. This entire wave, this entire area has been completely cleared out now. All is good for the allied commanders, and now they are not done. They want to start pushing in and start clearing out the rest of the space. And again, they have to be a little bit careful. There are a lot of enemy units here, but Kerrigan uses the mobilization wave now, and everything is stunned. And now these Mulisks are going to continue just completely shredding everything in their path. Nothing stands a chance against the max Mutaflock from Kerrigan. Everything that even tries to come up even close to these Mulisks, even not even close to these Mulisks, just moving somewhere else, they just get completely wrecked by Kerrigan's Mulisks. That is the damage output when you have a max flock Mutalisk here, and Glaive Bounces are providing so much value to Kerrigan, pretty much nullifying the Transmutation Mutator because nothing is able to deal any damage. There's one Loki that ends up spawning here. Loki's going to end up going down and triggering the Moment of Silence, unfortunately, because that is one of the lower tier heroic units that can be spawned from Transmutation. This is just a temporary setback for these commanders, but they are going to continue pushing through, and I think this base is pretty much cleared out. The next wave of harvesting bots have spawned, so it's going to be a little while before they start moving out. These commanders are not done yet. They want to completely clear the rest of the space. There is a few more structures over here, and now the last place that has Amon presence is going to be this base in the top right corner of the map, and these commanders are not done. They are just going to continue pushing through. One Overlord completely making a beeline away from this. Fortunately, there is a hybrid that ends up spawning out of Transmutation, ends up catching out Kerrigan's Mutalisk, but this is pretty much the rest of this mission completely cleared out. Again, unfortunately, these units do end up getting stunned, and now Kerrigan is going to start dealing with the next wave of attacks here. So there is another harass wave that has ended up spawning. Kerrigan's Mutalisk is going to be moving down here towards dealing with the rest of these. There are a few Scourge here, but you can see Scourge stand no chance now against this max Mutal flock. I think Kerrigan did end up losing 1 or 2 Mutalisks, but it's not too bad. Kerrigan, again, with an assimilation aura, she's trying to make sure that she's playing with as much value as possible. And now we have another harass wave that is dropped on the top right corner, and this harass wave is going to make its way towards the next wave of bots. And again, a few swarm hosts are being a little bit annoying, but Tychus is already in position over here. And this, unfortunately, this wave is not being addressed right now by any of the commanders. Kerrigan's Mutaflock is sitting over here, and Tychus, I think, is going to be moving up now towards dealing with this. Kerrigan's Mutaflock jumps in now to try and deal some damage over here. There is a lot of Scourge. She has to be really careful because these units can be absolutely terrifying if they end up catching out Mutaflock. There is another harass wave coming up over here, and there is a bunch of parasitic bombs onto Kerrigan's Mutalisk. Unfortunately, Kerrigan's Mutalisk do not end up splitting. Ouch. I felt that. And yeah, there's another hybrid dominant. Ends up completely wiping out Kerrigan's Mutalisk. A total of 65 Mutalisk have been killed off as a result of those 2 hero vipers. You may have heard of It's Raining Men, you may have heard of It's Raining Cats and Dogs, but Kerrigan is thinking it's raining space shrimps right now, because those were all her space shrimps completely roasted by the parasitic bombs from these vipers. Vipers, again, they end up clearing up. There's another harass wave, another couple of harass waves here, and unfortunately they were not being addressed a little bit, so they were dealing a lot of damage to these nice worms and end up transmutating up. Another Liberator over here. Now another harass wave has dropped onto this side, and yeah, these harass waves are getting a lot of value from these Omega worms that Kerrigan has dropped, so that is why there is a bit of a problem. You can see Kerrigan has added a few more Mutalisks into the mix, nowhere near as much as she had earlier. 23 Mutalisks are not enough to be able to hard counter and basically face tank some of the some of these swarmy Zerg composition. But Kerrigan jumps in now, immobilization wave, one-shots all the Scourge. She has to just pick off all these Vipers. Vipers are all gone now, and now Kerrigan's Mutalisks can go and try and engage these hybrids, but unfortunately that is not a good idea because these hybrid dominators are mad, and a lot of storms are coming down with Kerrigan's Mutalisks, which is very, very painful right now. And now there are 2 hybrid behemoths and 3 hybrid dominators on the way towards these players' bases, but these hybridizing bots, they're pretty much safe right now. Now Tychus is just going to try and pick these things off one by one. Kerrigan's Mutalisks do end up getting completely killed off through these hybrid dominators. A total of 112 Mutalisks have gone down. Very nice medevac pickup again from Tychus. Just has to deal with this last harass wave over here. These air units cannot hit the harvesting box, luckily, so it doesn't really matter if there's a Viper and a Scourge. She just has to deal with some of these ground units that are dealing some damage here. Another hybrid over here, and a bunch of hybrids on this side. They're not going to transmutate up, but for the most part, Kerrigan has added a few more Mutalisks, 17 Mutalisks. I don't know if she wants to try and pick off some more of these, but that is the last harvesting bot that has made its way towards Stepman's research facility, and Kerrigan is just going to exact her revenge on this last hybrid behemoth. I hate Vipers indeed, but that is all the bots saved. That is GG.